Hard times often show up looking like villains, but in truth, they're more like messengers holding a permission slip from life. They arrive with the confidence of someone who knows exactly what you need, even when you're convinced you don't. They press in on you, not to break you, but to make sure you finally look at the parts of your life you've avoided. When things fall apart, it's usually because something better is trying to break through. When everything feels like it's collapsing, it's easy to think you're being punished. It's easy to assume you did something wrong, or that you're somehow unworthy of a smoother path, but that's never the case. Hard times are recalibration points, moments that yank you off autopilot and make you face the truth you've ignored for too long. They shake you awake so you can stop sleepwalking through your own life. There are moments when you ask for change without realizing that change doesn't show up wearing a suit and tie. Change often arrives as discomfort, conflict, or situations you can't wiggle yourself out of. It arrives with messy hair and loud footsteps, demanding attention. Hard times don't show up to take something away from you. They show up to take you somewhere you've been afraid to go. Think about every strength you admire in yourself or anyone else. None of it came from comfort. Confidence didn't grow from easy days. Resilience didn't rise from smooth waters. Wisdom didn't sprout from perfect circumstances. These traits were carved out by pressure, sharpened by friction, and ignited by difficulty. Hard times are the chisel, and you are the sculpture in progress. You may not feel ready, but readiness is a myth. Nobody feels ready when life hands them a challenge. You grow into readiness by stepping into the chaos instead of hiding from it. Hard times push you into that uncomfortable space where you discover abilities you never knew you had. They force you to stop waiting, stop delaying, and finally start doing. There's a strange comfort in realizing that life's rough moments aren't random, nor are they cruel. They are specific, intentional, and oddly personalized. Hard times arrive in perfect timing, not to shut your life down, but to open it up in a direction you would have never chosen on your own. They work like cosmic alignment tools, making sure you don't miss your purpose. Even when you resist, life knows how to apply just enough pressure to get you moving. It knows when to tighten the ropes and when to loosen them. It knows when to corner you so you stop running from what you're capable of. Hard times are invitations disguised as obstacles, calling you toward the version of yourself you secretly want to be. And the moment you stop seeing them as punishment, you reclaim your power. You stop fighting the wrong battle and start rising from the right one. Hard times aren't there to end you. They're there to begin something in you that comfort never could. There's a hidden version of you that comfort will never reveal. Comfort is warm, predictable, and safe, but it's also the world's best hiding place for your potential. Pressure steps in like a spotlight, forcing the real you onto the stage. You feel the heat, you feel the weight, and suddenly you realize you've been holding back. Pressure isn't pleasant, but it's precise. It targets the places within you that have been asleep for too long. It exposes your limits, then immediately invites you to step beyond them. It stretches your patience, rewires your thinking, and strengthens your emotional muscles. Pressure pushes you past the person you were yesterday and demands the person you're meant to be today. In the moment, pressure feels like chaos. But afterward, you realize it was creating order, not outside, but inside. Pressure sharpens your focus, filters your priorities, and forces you to choose what genuinely matters. It strips away the distractions and habits that have quietly slowed your growth. It simplifies your life by reminding you what's worth holding on to. When you're under pressure, you begin to make decisions that comfort never asked you to make. You speak up when you normally stay quiet. You take risks you usually avoid. You try things you once doubted you could do. Pressure pulls courage out of you like water from a deep well. It shows you that bravery isn't something you wait for. It's something you grow into. There are moments when you feel the weight and think you're about to break, but something incredible happens instead. You adapt, you expand, you strengthen. You discover a side of yourself that only intense moments can reveal. You realize that pressure doesn't come to crush you. It comes to introduce you to the person you've always been capable of becoming. Looking back, every breakthrough you've ever had was born under pressure. Every turning point began with discomfort. Every chapter of growth started with a challenge that scared you, annoyed you, or exhausted you. Pressure creates transformation, the kind that comfort would never dare to attempt. And the more you embrace pressure as a teacher rather than an enemy, the more unstoppable you become. You stop running away from responsibility and start running toward opportunity. You stop avoiding challenges and begin meeting them with intention. You stop shrinking and start expanding. Pressure builds the parts of you that comfort will never touch, and those parts are exactly what your future needs. Discomfort is one of life's most misunderstood signals. People try to avoid it, silence it, or escape from it, but discomfort is a form of guidance. It shows you what needs healing, where you need growth, and what direction your next step should take. Discomfort doesn't arise randomly, it arises to redirect. There is always a reason you feel restless or uneasy in certain environments. It's not your emotions malfunctioning, it's your soul trying to communicate. Discomfort nudges you forward when you've overstayed in situations that no longer serve your evolution. It whispers that you're meant for more long before you see any evidence of it. When discomfort grows louder, it's because you're standing at the edge of your potential. It's pushing you toward experiences that align with the person you're becoming. It encourages you to walk away from what drains you and step into what demands your strength. Discomfort is not there to scare you, it's there to steer you. Some of the greatest breakthroughs you'll ever have began with a moment that felt like everything was going wrong. You lose something, someone leaves, a door shuts, and suddenly you're thrown into unfamiliar emotional territory. But unfamiliar territory is where growth hides. Discomfort prepares the soil for the seeds of your next chapter. You never realize how much you've outgrown something until it becomes uncomfortable to stay. That's the clearest sign that you're meant to move. Discomfort doesn't wait for permission to show you what's misaligned. It arrives uninvited, but with perfect timing, guiding you toward the experiences that will build your next level of strength. The magic of discomfort is that it reveals your limits, not to intimidate you, but to show you where expansion is possible. Every time you step into something that scares you, you grow. Every time you pause to reflect on discomfort instead of avoiding it, you gain clarity. Every time you choose growth over fear, you transform. And as you learn to trust discomfort as a compass, it becomes easier to navigate life's changing landscapes. You begin recognizing when it's time to let go, when it's time to take action, and when it's time to leap. Discomfort becomes a trusted advisor, pointing you toward the experiences that matter most. When you stop resisting discomfort, you start hearing your calling more clearly than ever. Pain is never random. It may feel overwhelming, chaotic, and unfair in the moment, but pain is purposeful. It arrives as a demolition crew clearing out the parts of your life that no longer support the person you're becoming. Pain breaks the weak foundation so stronger ones can be built in their place. When something hurts deeply, it's usually because it's connected to something meaningful. Your identity, your expectations, your dreams. Pain forces you to examine what you've attached yourself to and whether those attachments are holding you back. The very things you fear losing are sometimes the very things you need to release to grow. Pain has a way of revealing truth with shocking clarity. Suddenly, you see situations you tolerated for too long, relationships you overextended yourself for, and habits that kept you anchored to the past. Pain shines a spotlight on everything that's been quietly draining your energy and distracting you from your purpose. In painful moments, your instinct may be to run or hide, but pain actually invites you to listen. It asks you to slow down and pay attention. It asks you to understand instead of suppress. Pain becomes a teacher when you choose to face it instead of fleeing from it. It teaches you boundaries, strength, patience, and trust. Some of your most defining memories began with something painful. A loss, a breakup, a failure, a disappointment. But those same experiences shaped your character, deepened your compassion, and strengthened your resolve. If those moments were erased, the strongest parts of you would never have been formed. Every time you survive something you thought would break you, you become a little more unshakable. You gain new tools, new insights, and new resilience. Pain didn't leave you empty, it left you equipped. It didn't leave you shattered, it left you redesigned. It didn't leave you lost, it left you redirected. Pain can be one of the most powerful catalysts for growth because it doesn't ask for permission, it demands change. It pushes you to evolve whether you feel ready or not. It strips away illusions and forces authenticity. It leaves you with no choice but to rise, adapt, and transform. And in the end, pain becomes the blueprint for your strongest self. It rebuilds you into someone you would have never become without it. Strength isn't something you find lying around on the ground. It's something you build. It's something you carve out through the experiences that push you to your limits. Struggle isn't the enemy of strength, it's the birthplace of it. The first time you face something that feels impossible, your mind might scream that you're not capable. But struggle teaches you otherwise. It shows you what happens when you take one more step, try one more time, or refuse to quit even when quitting feels easier. Strength grows in the exact moments you feel weakest. It's through struggle that you learn how to think under pressure, how to stay calm in chaos, and how to trust yourself when everything feels uncertain. These are skills comfort will never teach you. Struggle turns uncertainty into clarity, fear into courage, and hesitation into decision. When you struggle, you learn more about yourself than you ever could on a smooth path. You discover your breaking points and your bounce back points. You discover your emotional endurance and your mental stamina. You discover that you're far more capable than you ever imagined, and that you've underestimated yourself for far too long. Struggle forces you to innovate. It forces you to think creatively, adapt quickly, and see solutions where others only see obstacles. It pushes you into a version of yourself that is sharper, smarter, and more focused. Every challenge, no matter how frustrating, is a refinement process. Some struggles last longer than others, but every single one leaves you stronger than before. Even when you feel drained, you're actually being rebuilt. Even when you feel lost, you're actually being redirected. Even when you feel defeated, you're actually being prepared for victory on the other side. Strength built through struggle becomes unshakable because it's earned. It's not borrowed, inherited, or gifted. It's created through effort, persistence, and resilience. You walk differently when you've earned your strength. You speak differently. You believe differently. You trust yourself more deeply. And once you've built that kind of strength, there is nothing life can throw at you that you can't rise from again. Breakdowns feel like endings, but they are often the beginnings of breakthroughs you didn't even know you needed. They strip everything away until only the truth remains. They help you confront what you've been avoiding and force you into clarity. When you break down, you tap into vulnerability. And vulnerability is the gateway to transformation. It's the moment when the masks fall off, the roles fade away, and the real you steps forward. It's raw, uncomfortable, and emotional, but it's honest. Breakdowns reveal the truth that comfort hides. In a breakdown, you finally see what's not working. You see the habits that keep you stuck, the relationships that drain your energy, and the beliefs that limit your potential. You see the parts of your life that have been begging for change. Breakdowns expose what needs to be rebuilt. The emotions that surface during breakdowns aren't signs of weakness. There's evidence that something inside you is shifting. Tears clear the fog. Anger highlights your boundaries. Fear reveals what matters most. Sadness shows you what you value. Every emotion is a messenger guiding you toward alignment. Breakdowns also break open possibilities. When you lose what you thought you needed, you make room for what you truly need. When you release what no longer fits, you create space for everything that does. When you hit rock bottom, the ground becomes the foundation for your next rise. Some of the greatest victories of your life will come after moments you thought would destroy you. You'll look back and realize that the breakdown wasn't the end, it was the turning point. It was the moment you stopped pretending and started becoming. It was the moment you stopped holding yourself back. Breakdowns don't come to break you. They come to break open parts of your life that have been locked too tightly for too long. They loosen the grip of the old so the new can finally enter. They unlearn you so you can relearn yourself with clarity and purpose. And when the breakthrough comes, you'll understand exactly why the breakdown had to happen first. Fear tries to convince you that it's a wall blocking your path, but it's actually a door waiting to be pushed. Most people stop at the sight of fear, never realizing that what they want most is on the other side of it. Fear isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning of a new one. Fear shows up whenever you are stepping into something bigger than what you're used to. It rises when you try something new, take a risk, or move into the unknown. That trembling sensation isn't danger, it's expansion. It's your mind stretching into new territory. When fear appears, it's a sign that something important is happening. It's evidence that you're not staying small. It's proof that you're challenging your comfort zone. Fear means growth is present. The only time fear disappears when you stop growing, stop dreaming, and stop evolving. Fear isn't there to stop you, it's there to sharpen you. It heightens your awareness, wakes up your instincts, and activates parts of your brain that comfort puts to sleep. Fear pushes you into alertness, and alertness is necessary for transformation. Fear makes you intentional. Every time you do something despite fear, you weaken its power. You show yourself that fear is not the authority. You are. You open the door a little wider each time you step forward. And eventually, the fear that once stopped you becomes fuel that propels you. When you push through fear, you gain not just courage, but clarity. You begin to see that the wall was never real. It was a projection of your doubts. The moment you step through, the illusion breaks. You realize you've been capable all along. Fear simply hid that truth until you were ready to see it. Fear is a natural part of becoming the person you're meant to be. It's a companion on the journey, not an enemy. It signals that your life is expanding in ways that matter. When fear shows up, it's announcing that your next level is near. And when you walk through that door, everything changes. Delays feel frustrating because they challenge your sense of control. You want things to happen on your schedule, according to your expectations. But delays aren't detours, they're preparation phases. They slow you down, not to stop you, but to strengthen you. When something takes longer than you thought it would, it's because pieces are being arranged that you can't see yet. Timing isn't just about opportunity, it's about readiness. A door that opens too soon becomes a trap, not a blessing. Delays ensure that when the moment comes, you're strong enough to handle it. During delays, life teaches you patience, persistence, and discipline. It teaches you to trust the unfolding process. It teaches you to show up even when results are invisible. This is where character is formed. This is where consistency is built. This is where faith is strengthened. Delays also help remove wrong options. Sometimes life slows you down so certain doors can close, certain people can exit, and certain distractions can dissolve. Delays are a filtering system, clearing your path from obstacles that would have caused chaos later. When everything feels still, something is actually shifting beneath the surface. Growth often happens underground before it ever appears in your life. Roots grow before branches. Foundation forms before the structure rises. Preparation always comes before elevation. Delays also give you time to refine your skills, upgrade your mindset, and deepen your confidence. You're not waiting because you're unworthy. You're waiting because you're being equipped. The bigger the mission, the more preparation is required. Nothing meaningful is rushed. In hindsight, many delays become blessings. You realize the timing worked out better than what you originally wanted. You understand why certain doors didn't open earlier. You see how everything aligned in ways you couldn't have planned. Delays were weaving the perfect setup for your breakthrough. And when the right moment finally arrives, all the waiting suddenly makes sense. Faith is not wishful thinking or blind optimism. Faith is bold trust. It's choosing to believe in possibilities even when probabilities look low. It's believing in the unseen, not because you're naive, but because you recognize that some of life's greatest forces are invisible. Faith shows up strongest when evidence is weakest. When circumstances look impossible, when the path feels uncertain, when nothing around you seems promising, that's where faith thrives. Faith steps in where logic reaches its limits. It guides you through the terrain your mind can't map out. Faith doesn't eliminate fear, doubt, or confusion. Instead, it gives you the strength to move through them. It empowers you to take steps even when you can't predict the outcome. Faith doesn't guarantee the journey will be easy, but it guarantees you'll have the strength to endure it. Faith turns obstacles into stepping stones. It transforms setbacks into setups. It turns closed doors into redirections. With faith, you begin to see every challenge as part of a larger design. You stop assuming the worst and start anticipating the breakthrough that follows difficulty. Faith isn't passive, it's active. It's choosing to show up, take action, and make progress even when the results aren't immediate. Faith is persistence that refuses to quit. It's courage that refuses to shrink. It's resilience that refuses to collapse under pressure. The power of faith is that it activates unseen doors. When you believe something more is possible, you start to see opportunities that others overlook. You hear ideas that others ignore. You sense directions that others miss. Faith gives you insight that fear tries to hide. Faith becomes a force when you practice it daily. The more you trust, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more you overcome. The more you overcome, the more unstoppable you become. Faith rewires your identity from someone who hopes things will change to someone who knows things will change. And the more boldly you walk in faith, the more life expands in ways you never imagined. The life you want isn't built for the person you are right now. It's built for the person you're becoming. Every dream, every goal, every desire you have requires a stronger, wiser, more mature version of you. Hard times show up to sculpt that version into existence. You're not being tested because you're weak. You're being tested because you're capable of more. Strength grows only when it's challenged. Wisdom grows only when it's questioned. Courage grows only when it's demanded. Difficult seasons are training grounds, not punishments. Every struggle you face is preparing you for something ahead. You're learning skills you'll need later. You're developing emotional endurance. You're gaining mental strategy. Your future requires this level of growth, and life won't let you step into the next chapter unprepared. If your future could speak, it would tell you that you're leveling up. It would tell you that the pressure you feel is shaping your capacity. It would tell you that you're outgrowing old patterns, old environments, and old versions of yourself. You're being prepared for expansion. Sometimes preparation feels like isolation. You're pulled away from old surroundings, old habits, and old people. But this isn't loneliness. It's elevation. It's a recalibration phase where you're being aligned with a higher purpose. You're being strengthened in silence so you can rise in power. The version of you that's coming will look back on these moments with gratitude. You'll realize that the hard times weren't holding you back. They were molding you. They were building the endurance you'll need to sustain success. They were shaping the resilience you'll need to stand firm. When you understand that hard times are sculpting your future self, you stop resisting them and start learning from them. You begin seeing challenges as opportunities. You begin seeing pressure as preparation. You begin seeing setbacks as setups. Growth becomes your instinct instead of your struggle. And with every transformation, you step closer to the life that's waiting for you. Letting go isn't about losing. It's about making space. When life pushes you to release something, it's not trying to hurt you. It's trying to free you. Letting go creates room for growth, healing, and new opportunities that can't enter while your hands are full. Holding on to what no longer serves you drains your energy and blocks your progress. It keeps you chained to old emotions, old memories, and old expectations that no longer fit the person you're becoming. Letting go is an act of strength, not surrender. It takes courage to release what's familiar. Every ending creates space for a beginning. Every departure paves the way for arrival. Every release opens the door to possibility. Letting go doesn't erase what happened. It frees you from carrying what weighs you down. It allows you to move forward without dragging the past behind you. Letting go teaches you trust. It teaches you that life continues even when things change. It teaches you that losing something doesn't mean losing yourself. It teaches you that peace is more valuable than attachment. When you let go, you reclaim your power. The hardest things to release are often the ones that shaped you. But not everything that brought you this far is meant to carry you the rest of the way. Some people's habits and environments were seasonal. They served their purpose. They taught you something important. And now it's time to move beyond them. Letting go also reveals clarity. Once you release what's heavy, you can see your future more clearly. You can feel possibilities that were once blocked. You can sense directions that were once hidden. You can breathe again. You make decisions based on growth instead of fear. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or rejecting. It means honoring your journey while choosing your future. It means respecting your past while protecting your peace. It means understanding that every chapter has a purpose, but not every chapter belongs in your present. And once you embrace the art of letting go, you move forward with strength instead of struggle. Everything you want in life, healing, success, fulfillment, purpose, begins with one brave decision. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to know the entire path. You just need enough courage to start. The beginning is where destiny meets action. Most people wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect confidence, but perfection is an illusion. Destiny doesn't wait for perfection. It moves through intention. It rises the moment you decide to take a step forward despite fear, doubt, or uncertainty. Beginning requires bravery because it challenges your comfort zone. It asks you to step into the unknown. It asks you to trust your future more than your fear. It asks you to choose faith over hesitation. Starting isn't easy, but it's powerful. The first step always sets everything into motion. Every great journey started with someone saying, "I'll try." Every miracle began with movement. Every transformation began with a leap. You don't become courageous and then begin. You begin, and courage grows along the way. Courage is a muscle built through action. When you begin, even if you start small, your life starts aligning. Opportunities begin appearing. People begin entering your life. Ideas begin flowing. Strength begins building. Your destiny doesn't respond to wishes. It responds to movement. It responds to boldness. Beginning also breaks the chains of fear. Once you take the first step, the second becomes easier. Momentum grows, confidence grows, vision grows. You realize that starting is the hardest part, and everything after that becomes a rhythm instead of a struggle. Every dream you have is waiting for your willingness to begin. Every door you want to walk through is waiting for your decision to move. Every breakthrough is sitting on the other side of your first step. Destiny is never far. It's simply waiting for your action. And when you finally begin, your whole life begins with you.